even though the gym is free, you have to buy an access card for like 250 dirhams. So now I'm surprised and I'm like, I should have asked this. I have to tell you this, guys. Negotiate the rent. I can't say this more than enough. Work might be the most important place that you have to go. I mean, they pay you to be there. So hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tessa here. And yeah, before we get into this video, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, and you know, just leave me your thoughts on each and every video if you want to. So to get into this video, okay, first of all, I had quite a lot of people asking me a number of different questions since my last video pertaining to where I was moving to and things like that, but I haven't gotten around to making that video yet, so I will get to making that video sooner than later. But today I just want to make this video. I know, like, it almost sounds like a no-brainer, like everybody would know how to rent an apartment in Dubai, but I will tell you, I made so many mistakes during my stay there, and those mistakes did cost me, like, in the long run. So I just wanted to share with people like how exactly it is, and so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. So yeah, so first of all, if you decide to rent an apartment in Dubai, the first thing you're going to want to do is decide whether you want to rent on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis. I did both, just so you know, like, I did both. I did rent out an apartment for a year on a monthly basis, and then for 2 years on a yearly basis. Both of these types of renting, they have their pros and cons, so it all depends on what it is that you actually want to do with the place and how long you see yourself staying at that particular place. First of all, when I took out the monthly rental, it was because I needed a place to stay that was close to work as soon as possible, because I was really staying far. I was staying at a friend's place, and yeah, I'd only said I was going to stay there for a month. Actually, I thought I would stay longer, but because it was so far from my workplace, I just couldn't. So that's how I ended up going for a place that was monthly rental, and it wasn't the best thing to do. I should have waited, to be honest, and yeah, it did cost me in the long run. So first thing that you're gonna want to do is obviously find an apartment. So there's so many places where you can find apartments. You can check on Facebook, there's so many groups, or you can check on Dubizzle, you can check on Beirut, I think that's how you pronounce it. You can check on Property Finder. I saw one recently that's called Urban Homes, I think, something like this, Urban Homes, something like this. So there's so many places where you can find apartments. There's so many places. So once you've settled as to whether you want a monthly or yearly rental, you can then just narrow down the apartments that you find from these particular sites, and then start viewing. Okay, this is the part where I made the first mistake both times. First of all, I just think I'm lazy, guys. Like, I don't know if I'm lazy or if I'm just a person that settles easily, but both times I think I went for the first time when I took the monthly rental, I went for the first apartment that I saw. And when I did the yearly rental, I actually went for the apartment that I saw, like maybe fifth. That was my fifth apartment viewing, something like this. I didn't settle as fast because I had ample time. So it all comes to the amount of time that you actually have on your hands. Yeah, so you're gonna want to put that into consideration, and don't be lazy about going to view apartments. To be honest, don't settle for the first thing that you see, because that doesn't mean that it's gonna be the best thing. And when you're there, sorry, I just wrote a few notes down so that I don't forget. When you're there at the apartment, ask questions. I have this thing that I just look at the apartment. I don't ask the agent anything, and I most probably, like, I end up making a decision, and then once I move in, I realize, oh my gosh, I should have asked about this. I should have asked about this. I will give you an example, right? I will give you an example. I moved to a place that has a gym, right? And I didn't really ask about it. I didn't even get to see the gym. I didn't ask to see the gym, right? I just thought, oh my gosh, it's a free gym. That's all I need to know. But once I moved in, I learned that even though the gym is free, you have to buy an access card for like 250 dirhams. So now I'm surprised, and I'm like, I should have asked this like before. So ask questions. And in the event that maybe you are moving to an area outside of Dubai, or you know, like, just ask general questions, you know, pertaining to electricity, pertaining to internet connection, because the place I stayed in Dubai for the yearly rental, I moved in and I was the first person to move into the building, and guess what? The internet was not yet set. I think I spent about a month without internet. So it was because I didn't ask these questions also, like, initially before I decided to move in. So you have to ask questions. And then the third thing, my gosh, I have to tell you this, guys, negotiate the rent. I can't say this more than enough. I made this mistake twice. First of all, when I took the monthly rental, the guy just told me it's, okay, let me try to remember how much it was. I think it was 3,200 dirhams without electricity or Wi-Fi, something like this. And it was on a monthly basis. And I thought to myself, because I'd heard, you know, like, oh, it's so expensive to stay close to work, you know, close to the airport. Sorry about that. It's so expensive to stay close to the airport. I thought this was really cheap. Yeah, I know what you're thinking right now. I thought that was really cheap, and I didn't even negotiate the rent. And by the time I calculated how much I actually spent when I was staying for a year at that place, I was just like, oh my gosh, that was a lot. But I did share the place though. So I mean, I didn't see how expensive it was because I was only paying half of the rent. So, you know, like when you're sharing a place, you only pay, I mean, depending on how many people it is, you know, like you just divide it by the number of people and stuff. So it was a studio apartment and it was 3,200. So in the end, I was only paying 1,600 and ABCD, but I was the one who looked for the place. So yeah, do negotiate the rent, because most times they can actually go down on the rent, especially now during COVID timings. There are so many people that went back home and things like that. You can get rent for cheaper, and most places the rent is going down either way. So yeah, do negotiate the rent. And also you can try and negotiate the number of checks, because if you do rent a yearly place, like via a yearly contract, you need to have a checkbook. So they will require you to pay in a number of checks. So most people, I remember when I was taking the apartment for a year, they required me to pay in 4 checks. So because you're required to pay in 4 checks, it means that you're paying your rent every 3 months. So you need to calculate this, you know, like you need to include it like when you're budgeting your money and things like that. So because you have to be really, really mindful of it, especially when you're initially moving in, because you're gonna have to spend a lot. So if you're to start like in a position where you don't, like, you can't request from work for them to give you like maybe accommodation allowance in advance, I would suggest that maybe you stay in a monthly paid place for like a couple of months while you save up to try and make up all the different things that you need to pay for by the time that you are moving to a new place that's paid yearly. And it's very important that you always make sure that every time when your check is due, you have money in your account, because it's not good to have a bounce check. It's not good at all. I've read stories about it, and you know, it's not anything that you'd want for it to happen to you. I mean, so yeah, let me move on from that. And then once you've viewed your places, you've negotiated your rent, you need to take into consideration also different payments that you need to make. For example, if you're getting this apartment via an agent, you're gonna have to pay an agent fee, and this, honestly, this varies from like 1,000 dirham to like 2,000 dirham. I don't know if there's like any set amount that the agents should be paid, but I've seen like different agents who have different amounts that they require. And since it'll be Dubai, if you're opening a Dewa account for the first time, you also need to have a Dewa deposit. This Dewa deposit, it is refundable though. Like if you're moving outside of Dubai, or you're moving back home, or you're just closing your Dewa in general, they would give you back your money, provided you don't have any pending bills or things like that. But that's besides the point. So you need to take into consideration that as well, and your moving costs. That's important. Do not neglect that. And the other payment you would need to pay for is an Ijari registration, which I think it was 185 when I paid for it, but you can always check with your agent. So you've really thought about this. You've really thought about this moving and everything. Also take note of how you're gonna get to work. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like, depending on where you're gonna stay, ask yourself how you're gonna get to work, how long it's gonna take you to get to work, because work might be the most important place that you have to go. I mean, they pay you to be there. So, yeah. Okay, so once you have your place set, you're gonna have to pay a security deposit. Most places that I have noticed, if you're taking a yearly rental, your security deposit is always in the form of a check, so you don't have to worry about that. You just write an open dated check, that's what they call it. So it doesn't have a date on it, it just has the details of the amount of the deposit and the name of the landlord, and you know, and then you sign on it. This is just a security deposit, just in case. But take, for example, if you do move out of the place, like after your 1-year contract and everything is in order, like you left it as good as you found it, they give you back your check, so you don't have to worry about that. And then afterwards, you'd need to go on to sign the contract and then write the checks. It's important, guys, for you to read your contract. Please, please, please do not be like me. Read your contract, you know, like read your contract. Make sure you know how long you're going to need to give notice in the event that you want to move and things like that, because I made the mistake of not reading my contract once upon a time, and yeah, I tried to tell them, you know what, I want to move, and then they're like, no, you have to give 2 months notice. And I was like, I didn't know that. They're like, it's written in the contract. I was like, darn it, I did not read the contract. So you need to read the contract, guys. It's very, very important, and make sure you understand everything that is written in the contract. You would be shocked some of the things that are written in there, like especially in terms of maintenance, like who does what kind of maintenance. I'm telling you, maybe they will write that once you're leaving the apartment, you have to have the apartment repainted. Maybe they'll say that in the event that you need maintenance during the course of your stay there, it's your own responsibility. So make sure that once you read the contract and you don't agree with certain things, you don't sign the contract. That's just so obvious. And you can just tell them, you know what, I don't agree with this. If you can't change it, it's okay. I'll look for another place. It's still okay. So once that's done, you're going to need to write all your checks, like for the whole year if you're taking the yearly apartment. And of importance, get the copies of your checks, like photocopy your checks, or last time I remember what I did was, since I didn't have a machine to photocopy my checks, I just took pictures of all my checks, all the checks that I've written down, just to make sure that I do have a copy of the checks. And then when it comes to connecting your DEWA and Ijari registration, personally for me, when I took the yearly rental, the agent did it for me. He's connecting your DEWA and your Ijari registration. The agent will most probably do that for you, and so you don't really necessarily have to worry about that. You can always just make the payments for the DEWA online, and the Ijari registration, you pay the money to the agent. Yes, to the agent. And just of note, some of the things that you need are they usually take a copy of your Emirates ID, a copy of your passport, and your visa, your residence visa. And yeah, so basically after you sign, you're now bound by the contract. So just be careful, like in terms of wanting to move and giving notice and things like that. That's really, really important. And then now when it goes to moving in, okay, I wasn't really going to talk about moving in, but there are some things that bothered me that I just remembered when I was moving into a particular apartment. Not that yeah, it did kind of bother me, but also on my part, I had made a mistake. When I came for the viewing and everything, and I loved the apartment, right? Obviously at that point, they hadn't done the maintenance or the painting and stuff like that. I told them, okay, I really want this apartment, and then I did my everything, signing the contract and writing my checks and things like that. And so after I did that, I expected them to do the necessary work on the apartment before I moved in, right? But because I didn't have enough time, I didn't take like enough off days from work to like go and view the apartment before I actually moved into it. I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna move in straight. I trust that everything is okay. I moved into the apartment. The only thing that was done for sure was just the painting. Everything else was not done. I was really upset with them. I was upset with myself also because I didn't take enough time, you know, to go and view the apartment first to make sure that all the painting and the cleaning and the maintenance is done. And so once I moved in, there were a couple of maintenance issues, and I had to take pictures of that and send it to the agent lady, and then she's like she was gonna send some maintenance guys and things like that. So for a week I had people coming back and forth to my apartment and trying to fix those maintenance issues, and also the place was not cleaned. I mean, okay, fine, maybe they did clean, maybe, but it wasn't as clean as I would have wanted it to be. Should we just say that? Maybe we should just say that. Yeah, it wasn't as clean as I wanted it to be. So I had to start doing my own cleaning, like before I put all the stuff in order, because I wasn't gonna leave it like that. So yeah, that's one of the other things. I'm trying to think if I forgot to mention something else. I don't know. If you guys live in Dubai, or you have some friends living in Dubai who would have some further advice about like how to rent an apartment in Dubai, you can leave that advice in the comment section just in case I forgot something. And yeah, I'd want to hear from you guys as well. So I think I should just leave it at that, and please do not make the same mistakes that I did when I was moving into the apartments where I stayed. Always negotiate. negotiate. You can get a less price. I know, okay, this is a very sensitive, like a somewhat sensitive topic that I want to just put in before. I actually noticed that there are quite a lot of people that don't like to be asked how much they pay for their rent. But I mean, I don't know. I just find it weird. But of course, you know, like if I had a friend staying in that particular area that I want to move into, I would ask them how much they're paying their rent, because sometimes, you know, like when you look at the prices on Dubizzle and Beirut and stuff, they sometimes they overestimate or overcharge, or they add extra money, something like that. Like let's say if apartments in that area generally go for like 26,000 dirham per year, sometimes they will write 30 because they're anticipating that a person might want to negotiate, and once a person feels that they're being given a cheaper rent, they always want to then take the apartment. So yeah, just be careful of that. Yeah, I think I should just leave it here. I have to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope it's informative. So now I have to love and leave you and go make another video, because I am actually in the process of recording something else. Yeah, so yeah, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. I love you.